2 trillion ounces of silver. Let me remind you, 1 trillion is a million times a million. That comes from our friend .com Don, who set up the www.ronsbasement.com website. Make sure you go check that out and register there. But 2 trillion ounces of silver, are you kidding me? Right? It is incredible. I'm going to touch on that and why India alone could be the future for silver and gold. We're going to dive into that. We got a lot more to cover as well. We're going to talk about some scary, crazy, scary news about what's going on in the economy. Specifically, again, new news about the trucking industry. We get some insights from an industry expert. We're going to talk about the banking sector because there's more news coming out there. We're going to talk about the mining sector. We're going to talk about BRICS. We're going to talk about Moody's downgrading the United States, and you know Janet's not happy about that. But let's start by talking about Mike something. Oh, hey, all right. Is the hot dog on the screen? Somebody found the hot dog. All right, guys, good job. Now, let's talk about 2 trillion. Let's talk about silver and gold. That's why you're here. 2 trillion ounces of silver. Let me just put that into perspective. That is 2,000 years worth of current mining production. We produce about 1 billion ounces of silver per year. 2 trillion ounces would take, just 2,000 years. But we also know that the amount of silver being mined every year is going down. But what am I talking about with this 2 trillion ounces of silver in India? Let me tell you something. Do you have a grandma and a grandpa? Yes, you do. Anyone who's living. That's one thing we have in common. We all have a grandma and a grandpa. Probably not the same person, but you never know. We might have the same great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa, because that's the way family trees work. But you have a grandma and a grandpa. You're watching me from somewhere in the Western world. It's very unlikely, it's exceptional if your grandma or grandpa ever said anything to you about silver and gold. My grandpa, he's dead, but I was really close to him. He read the Wall Street Journal every day. He was a millionaire when he died. I spent a lot of time with him, and probably his last 5 or 6 years, he never once mentioned anything to me about silver and gold. I had to discover this on my own, like a lot of you basement dwellers. But there's something about India that's unique. Let me read this to you. Okay, this came from one of our subscribers in India. And this is what he said. He said, in India, and I love India, our grandparents say that you must own silver worth your body weight, and gold worth your self-worth and self-respect. Silver and gold are ingrained into the Indian culture, okay? We're going to dive deeper into this, guys, because this is something big picture we need to consider when we invest our hard-earned fiat unicorn fart dust money into real money, silver and gold. But in India, the grandparents tell their grandchildren, let's examine this a little more, that they should own silver equal to their body weight. So I couldn't resist having a little fun, basement dwellers, and doing a little math, because as you probably know, I brag all the time, I have a degree in accounting, so supposedly I know how to work a calculator. Well, here's the math. There's 1.4 billion people in India. 1.4 billion people. If you just say on average they weigh 100 pounds, you come up with 140 billion pounds of people, 140 billion pounds of people in India. If you convert that to Troy ounces, okay, 140 billion pounds times 14.58, you come up with almost exactly 2 trillion ounces of silver. And that's what the grandparents recommend in India, that everyone own as much silver as their body weighs. 2 trillion ounces of silver. Like I said at the beginning, that is an unfathomable, I can never say that word, but I keep trying, unfathomable number of silver. 2 trillion ounces of silver at current mine production would take 2,000 years to get out of the ground. Now, why is that a big deal? I'll tell you why. that's a big deal. I don't think that everybody in India is walking around with their body weight in silver. Do you have that much silver stacked? If you want to answer that question, say yes or no in the comment section. Thank you. 160 people on a Monday morning. Basement Dwellers United. Here we are. Do you own as much silver as your body weight? A lot of you do. I know. Okay. If that were the case in India, but why? Why is that a big deal? Because remember, last year, India imported over 300 million ounces of silver, almost 35% of the world's, silver production. Okay? But what's even more interesting about India is when you consider that they are a growing, advancing country. Do you know any Indian people? I know a lot of Indian people. They're all very smart, very hardworking, right? I don't want to put any of us down, but they will work their tails off, whether they're a doctor, there are not many lawyers, doesn't seem like, but a lot of them are doctors or computer programmers. I used to be in that business. I ran a business. I owned my own business dealing with IT consultants and IT managers. I dealt with a lot of Indian people. They are smart, okay? They are motivated. They own a lot of convenience stores. They own a lot of hotels. Okay, I admire how hardworking and industrious Indian people are. Why is that a big deal? Because there's 1.4 billion of them. And the people in India are hungry and their economy is growing. Stay with me. Okay, their middle class, I saw a statistic last night, is growing at an alarming rate. Our middle class, for some reason, even though Bidenomics is working, our middle class seems to be shrinking here in the United States. If you're a truck driver who used to make a middle class income 2 years ago, there's a good chance you're not making a middle class income anymore. But we'll get to that later. In India, everybody's doing better and better and better. Oh, and their middle class is expanding. Oh, Oreo. Also, they love gold and silver. Guys, this is a big picture thing, but this is one of the situations going on in the world right now. We know the other story about silver. We know that solar use is expanding. We know that electronics, and we know that the AI revolution, artificial intelligence, is going to require an abundant more amount of silver. But have we considered that in India, where people are getting wealthier and wealthier, and people have a strong inclination, generational, right? We learn from our parents and our grandparents. In America, in the West, our parents and my mom and dad are clueless about gold and silver, okay? My grandpa was clueless. They were brainwashed against silver and gold, to the chagrin, if that's the right word, of our founding fathers, who just happened to put it in the United States Constitution. But in places like India, and China and Russia and the Middle East, it's a completely different situation. Children are taught the value of silver and gold. I've asked some of Evie and Lily's friends who are Indian, do you know anything about silver and gold? These are 10, 11-year-old kids, and they're like, oh, yeah, I get it for my birthday. I get it for holidays, and it's how, it's basically how we preserve wealth. The Indian culture gets it, and the big deal is how much more wealthy they are becoming, powerful they are becoming. This is not the world of your parents, okay? Or us. I'm 53 years old, where the United States ruled the world. The world is changing, and the BRICS countries, right? And what's the ick? What's the ick in BRICS? The IC, India and China are becoming more and more powerful. And guys, we can't emphasize this enough. They're complete opposite to what we have in the United States, where they actually love and appreciate, and they're smart, and they know that silver and gold are real money, okay? Think about this one. Remember the Chinese? Think about the Chinese, the golden beans. That's the new craze in China. The young people are buying 1 gram gold beans. Look it up for yourself. It's happening. And some people did math on this, like if just 10% of the Chinese population were to buy one of these 1 gram gold beans per month, it like wipes out the entire gold production for the year. The world is moving toward silver and gold. India and China are the new emerging powerful. I don't like it. You don't have to like it, but they've worked very, very hard. They know that they want to preserve their wealth. They don't want to buy unicorn fart dust US dollars, and I'm just stating the facts, okay? Now, don't get mad at me. I don't like it either. I don't like the position that many of our leaders have put us into. Look at this bond auction that went on last week, a complete, utter failure. And why? Because the Chinese don't want to buy U.S. bonds. The Indians don't want to buy U.S. bonds. The Russians sure don't want to buy them, because if they do, they just get confiscated, right? The world does not want to buy our debt anymore. The world, what is the world wanting to buy? I mean, come on, man. What do we know? What's the world wanting to buy right now, right? What are the actions of the most sophisticated financial institutions in the world? The world central banks continue to buy gold at a record pace. Guys, they haven't bought this much gold. They didn't buy this much gold when the world was officially still on the gold standard. I mean, hello, aren't all the clues there about what's going on right now? It's a very, very interesting time. I need to take a little break to decompress, but stay with me. Hey, please give this a thumbs up. 200 people. Wow. You guys are, technical problems. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Yeah. And let's not forget, when we're talking about silver and gold in China and India, we're talking about 1.4 billion people in India, 1.4 billion people in China. That's 2.8 billion people. That's almost 8-9 times the population of the United States that love the precious metals, like you love the precious metals. If you want to get your hands on some precious metals right now, we don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe in a year from now, prices will be lower. Who knows? I don't think they will be. I'm not giving financial advice or crystal ball type predictions here. But if you want to get your hands on some silver or gold right now, go to Pimbex. They make this video possible. Pimbex, Pimbex.com. They are an online bullion dealer. Thank you for that super chat, Nick. Thank you, my friend. Pimbex, online bullion dealer, silver, gold, platinum. Do your work like I did, okay? You know, I trust them, right? But do your own due diligence. Compare prices. Go for it. I recommend we always do that. What I found is I trust them, and I know that I'm always getting a very good price, usually the absolute best price. You could drive yourself crazy spending, hours and hours trying to find the absolute lowest price, and then you got to spend more hours and hours doing research on if that company that has this absolute lowest price is actually trustworthy. For me, when I go to Pimbex, I know I trust them, and I know I'm getting a great price and always the best price. But again, you need to find that out for yourself. Thank you, Pimbex, for sponsoring Ron's Basement. Thank you for being here. I'm talking to you now. Yes, you. It's a big deal you're here. Please leave a comment in the comment section. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you. You don't have to agree with me. Trust me, I don't agree with myself half the time. And Susie, 75% of the time, meaning she doesn't always agree with me. She's on the live stream. Susie's the best. Love you, Susie. But it's a big deal that you leave your thoughts in the comment section. We've got a new forum at www.ronsbasement.com where you can register 24 hours a day. You can leave your thoughts over there as well, right? That's what we are as a community. We can learn from each other. So thank you for being here. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. If we get 5 more thumbs up, I'm going to ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling bell 10 times, 1 time for each 10 thumbs up. Let's get back to the subject matter here. Again, Nobody's talking about BRICS anymore. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It's happening right now, guys. And when we factor in how those countries value silver and gold on a much different level than we do here in the United States, it's a big, big deal. I'm going to ring the bell. That makes us all happy. Thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, guys? So when everything is screwed up, I mean, everything is screwed up in the United States. They've done a top-notch, A-plus job of screwing up almost everything. The healthcare system screwed up. Our government's screwed up. Everything is screwy right now, right? And gold and silver do love uncertainty, okay? Let's just talk about, this is an article from Kitco. I want to read to you what's going on in the world, in the United States, that is telling us, hold on here. Oh boy, technical difficulties, bear with me. Okay. This was from our friend Niels at Kitco. Said gold price opened on Sunday, and I looked at gold before we came on here. Gold's hanging in there right now in positive territory as market reacts to Moody's negative outlook on U.S. debt. All right. Late Friday, after North American markets closed, okay, after the market closed, they always do this. They sneak out the bad news on Friday at like 5 o'clock when everybody's no longer paying attention, right? The best time to put out really bad news. And you know what that bad news was? Excuse me. Moody's affirmed America's AAA rating. However, the firm's outlook on the credit rating of the United States was changed to negative from stable. All right. Moody's said the domestic political instability. That's Moody's telling us we have domestic political instability. Yeah, we have a former president that's on trial. We have a current president that's being considered for re-election and impeachment at the same time. We have a looming government shutdown on November 17th. It's right around the corner. We got big problems, okay? Congress has been unable to pass legislation to fund the government past November 17th. What's today? Today's like the 13th, right? 13th, 14th, 15th. Is that Friday? 13th, 14th. Anyway, Friday or Saturday, our government's going to be non-existent. Imagine how much can get done in this country. I'm not, Anyway, another potential government shutdown has put renewed focus on the nation's growing debt. On the nation's growing debt as interest rates remain elevated. Here's a great quote. Do you think that that's the problem? Do you think we have a debt problem in the United States? Do you think people are waking up? People besides you and me? It's bad, guys. It really is bad. We're not just doomsayer, gloom and doomers. Everybody else is in denial, right? It would be like if one of our friends was drinking a fifth of whiskey every day and was increasing the amount of whiskey they were drinking, but, wasn't driving, wasn't doing, and we'd be like, well, everything's okay. Most people, denial. He's doing great. Look, he's still got a house. No, it's a big problem. And we got that problem right now. The United States is drinking a fifth of whiskey a day. It says in the context of higher interest rates thank you, Craig. Thank you for the super chat, my friend, brothers, basement dwellers. In the context of higher interest rates, without effective fiscal policy measures to reduce government spending or increase revenues, Moody's expects that the U.S. fiscal deficits will remain very large, significantly weakening debt affordability. Moody's said in a statement, continued political polarization within the United States Congress raises the risk that successive governments will not be able to reach consensus on a fiscal plan to slow the decline in debt affordability. Guys, we are in a doom loop, basically, a debt doom loop. We heard Michael Gentile, the smartest guy in the room. I'm sorry, he is. He pointed out, right? We're at this point now where we have so much debt, and all this debt needs to be refinanced in the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to be facing, like, even if we just stay at the same debt level, which we're not, the debt level's going up, and interest rates, we're getting like double jabbed. We're going to be facing a situation where within 3 to 4 to 5 years, we could be paying close to $2 trillion per year just in interest on the debt. Now, is that a big deal? Well, when you consider the fact that, was it last year the government brought in, it was either 4 or 5 trillion, but let's say 5 trillion in revenue, right? In what was considered to be a really great year, because we have Bidenomics and it's working. But guys, we're talking about a situation where interest alone, just the interest, we're not talking about paying off any debt, is going to be eating up half of all the money that the government's bringing in. That's why Moody's downgraded. That's why nobody wants to buy our debt. That's why when the reverse repo facility is drained, which is going to occur like in January, February, maybe March, right? That's the only thing keeping the debt market afloat. We could have a big, big, big financial crisis. We know there's other big, crazy stuff, I watched my language, going on in the world right now. Wars, right? BRICS. Oh, we also have BRICS Plus. I keep forgetting the 6 countries. What is it? Iran, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia joining Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. I mean, it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It says here, this is from our friend Niels at Kitco. The downgrade also comes after the U.S. Treasury sold $24 billion in 30-year bonds in a disappointing auction. How about a disaster, Niels? I'm hearing that's been called a disaster. The government tried to borrow money last week, and nobody wanted to give them money. Nobody. Okay? It was like the biggest tail, they call it, which is the difference between where the rate started and where they ended. And I don't know, I think in all time, but we'll just say 20 years because I don't want to over exaggerate. It's not looking good right now in the United States of America for the United States dollar. I'm sorry that I have to say that. You love, I'm sure you, if you're an American, you love your country, right? But the situation that they've gotten us into now is absolutely untenable. Very, very, very scary. It says this is the second. Hey, we're doing pretty good this year. Debt outlook this year. Debt cut outlook. In August, Fitch also lowered the U.S. long-term rating to AA plus from its top mark of AAA. Okay. Hold on here. Here, Jesse Felder, founder of the Felder Report, said the U.S. fiscal problems are only getting worse. That's the good news, guys, and will be a significant factor for gold's push higher through 2024. What does this have to do with silver and gold, you might ask? It has everything to do with silver and gold. As long as we're measuring it in paper money, U.S. dollars, unicorn fart dust, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because the dollar is no longer tethered to the price of gold. The dollar, right, since 1971 is not backed by gold. So, but we measure it, right? We measure the dollar in gold. That's a big, big error because what we're facing, what we're likely going to see in 2024 is a confluence of factors, right? The fact that the debt has grown so large and growing. Interest rates have grown so large and growing, right? The world changing, bifurcating, not wanting to buy U.S. debt, not wanting to hold U.S. dollars. All of this is going to come together. Unfortunately, right, now you're prepared. You likely have a chunk of your wealth invested in things like land, maybe precious metals like gold and silver, right? But it's going to hurt the dollar. It's going to hurt the dollar. It'll be interesting to see what 2024 brings because it is looking super dicey, okay? On top of that, we've got this government shutdown at the end of the week. Didn't we just get through that? Right? That could also be, things could be coming to a head. Let's talk briefly We got more. We got more. And guys, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are on a full press to try to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So any help would be, greatly appreciated. You can come back to the basement. Yes, you. Yeah, you. You're important, man. You're smart. If you're watching this live stream, you are a little smarter than the average bear. Okay? You may not believe it, but I'm telling you, it's a fact. So we come together. There's great community here. You can engage. You can make friends. But we like to talk about the tough subjects. We like to try to see the forest through the trees. We just don't look at the trees, right? We look for the forest, the big picture. So you're in the right place. I hope you feel like you found a new home. I hope you feel like you can join us in the basement, because you can. Everybody's welcome here. All right, hold on. Yeah, I just got done with a massive long road trip. Susie did some of the driving, but we drove 700 miles over the last couple days. I'm telling you, there's not as many trucks on the road. And let's talk to, this comes from Fox Business, an expert in the trucking field. And he says that there's a great trucking recession, but what he says about the overall economy is even more frightening. It's not a good thing, okay? America's trucking industry is in a dire strait, which is bad news for the U.S. economy because it serves as an indicator of the mood of consumers. Well, I thought the consumers were doing great. Right? I thought consumers were doing great. And their pocketbooks heading into the holiday seasons. That's right. It's almost the holiday seasons. Oh, interesting. One expert warned. Okay. Remember, after the pandemic, there was a shortage of truckers. There was all this free money that had been printed. Nobody could get. Well, okay. As that slowed and the cost of living continues to rise, more truckers are fighting for the same loads, which results in a dogfight. Okay? Hold on here. This is not a good time to be in the trucking industry. Just to paint a picture, the trucking industry is the engine that drives the American economy forward. We're fueling growth and prosperity by transporting goods to where they need to be, and when the engine breaks down or stops, it works like a heart. When that ceases to be, it brings the entire economic system to a halt. And this is the system that we're being told is breaking down. They talk about Yellow Trucking. We've talked about them. Like one of the oldest trucking companies in the country went bankrupt. 30,000 people out of a job. Boom. Okay. All right. We're not going to dig into that. Convoy, the other one that was started by whatever that guy's name is that started Amazon. They went belly up. That was like the newest thing that was going to transform the trucking industry. Gone. Here, because volumes are down, we may even see more trucking companies go out of business. It's going to be really interesting and scary to see how this unfolds over the next few months. This guy's name is Kucharski. He's basically saying, guys, that we have an economic slowdown in this country. Remember, I'm going to get, but wait, you might be asking, the government. The government just told us that we had 5% economic growth in the third quarter. Oh, yeah, that was economic growth because of government spending and consumer debt, okay? But does that jive? Are you getting a little suspicious? Does that jive with the data, the real news that we're getting? This guy that was I just talked about, he runs a trucking company. He's saying that the trucking industry is like in dire straits. Does that 5% economic growth? I don't know. We don't know how they even measure it, right? Does that jive with what we're hearing? Does it jive with what we're hearing from the big international companies that ship goods from China to the United States on, those big shipping containers? No. Their volumes are down. The rail volumes, the big railroads, their volumes are down. I'm going to tell you something. I heard Peter Schiff said this the other night. He said that remember the Great Recession? The Great Recession, 2007, 2008. They're always revising the numbers, and that's likely what's going on right now, because before the Great Recession was declared, they were saying everything was great. We were having unbelievable growth in the economy, right? And then, like a year later, they always do this. We know they do it with the jobs numbers, but they do it with the GDP as well. A year later, they came back and said, those numbers we gave you back in late '07, they weren't so good after all. We have to revise them down. We were actually in a recession. I think we're in a recession right now. What about a depression? We're not afraid to talk about it, right? Nobody's talking about it. And we know, right? We know the things that oftentimes happen are the things that nobody's talking about. Could we be heading for a full-out depression? Are we prepared for that? Would we survive? Would you survive? What does your debt level look at? I'm telling you guys, if you got a bunch of debt, car debt, maybe not so much mortgage debt, but credit card debt, especially credit card debt, do whatever you can to get yourself out of debt, okay? Sometimes, that involves tough decisions, right? Maybe not going to Starbucks. Maybe if you're a person who likes to eat ding-dongs all day long, maybe you cut back from 8 ding-dongs a day to 5 ding-dongs a day. I don't know. Do whatever you got to do to get yourself out of debt. Hey, thank you. Man, can we please get a few more thumbs up? We have 300 people on here. This is awesome. That's free. Press that thing that looks like my thumb, and I'll give you a great big smile, because we want to get to 200 thumbs up today. That's very important. Thank you. We got more. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Take a little break. Let's absorb everything going on. We talked about the Chinese and the Indians. What's going on? Big picture with silver and gold. We talked about the world bifurcating. We talked about the United States falling apart. Okay? The country's falling apart on a debt binge, spending like a drunken sailor. I think that was Jeffrey Gundlach who recently said that. Jeffrey Gundlach is like one of the most respected people on Wall Street, double line capital, spending like drunken sailors, right? And then we've got our government telling us, well, everything's great, be happy. The economy's expanding. You're doing awesome. While at the same time, we have trucking companies, right? The engine that drives the country telling us that they're in dire straits. Something doesn't add up. Something just does not add up. Oh, then what does this make you think? Federal Express. Yes, that Federal Express. They do a lot of freight movement around the country as well, but they do it quick. They told their pilots that fly their big freight airplanes, they've got a huge, what's the word? Gosh, I'm losing it, man. A huge number, a huge number of airplanes, and they fly little loads all over the country. You know what FedEx told their pilots? Why don't you leave us, because we don't have enough business to keep you busy. Why don't you leave us and go fly for American Airlines? Because for now, the drunken sailor United States consumers are spending all their money to travel. Okay? Why don't you go do that? All right? Because there's not a lot of economic activity going on. Think about that. Let that sink in. In fact, so we talked about the truckers, we talked about the railroads, we talked about the big, whatever that's called, not intermodal, but the big international shipping companies that ship things on those giant ships with all those shipping containers stacked up that people are going to wind up living in, container home houses, because they're not going to be able to afford anything. But we also get it now from the air freight business. Things are coming to a big, big halt. And on top of that, Operation Bora Bora. Bora Bora. Right. What's that? Oh, Citigroup. They just have, I was blown away when I read this. This is more coming out on this. 240,000 employees. That's a big, big company. And they're in big, big trouble. The banks are in big, 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 big trouble. Okay? Operation Bora Bora. It's Citibank. Their CEO is like, we got to do something. We got big trouble. They're going to lay off at least 10% of their employees. That's another at least 25,000 people that are losing their jobs. But why would Citibank be in trouble? Well, do we need to go through the list? You want to know why? It's not just Citibank. It's Bank of America. It's U.S. Bank. It's all the big banks. It's all the mid-sized banks. And it's a lot of the small banks as well. But they're in big, big trouble because the U.S. Treasury values have collapsed, okay? The mortgage-backed securities that they bought have collapsed in value. Commercial real estate values that they loaned money, they gave people money to buy the collateral collapsed in value. The zombie companies. Yeah, the zombie companies. All right, this is from the Federal Reserve and the IMF estimated that the 10% of the companies in the United States are zombie companies, meaning they can't just survive on their own. They need an injection of free zero interest rate type money. That's how they survived over the last decade. That's all come to an end, okay? So all these banks have loans out to a lot of these zombie companies that aren't going to be able to pay as well. And the number of zombies is growing. But what about credit cards? Well, credit card debt's at an all-time high. The interest rates being charged on credit cards are also at an all-time high. People are defaulting on their credit cards as well. But that's okay because we always have the auto market, right? No, wrong. Auto loan default. The banks loaned out a lot of money to maybe your neighbors, maybe you, maybe me, right? To buy cars, to buy used cars over the last couple of years. Default rates there are near all-time high. The highest since 1996, I think is what I read. And don't forget about student loans because we know they surveyed the student loan people and they, like 40% of them said, force majeure. That means like I surrender. I can't afford to pay my student loan payment because when Joe Biden or when maybe that was, I don't know. Anyway, whoever, right? Put them on a little holiday. You don't have to pay your student loans anymore because we have a crisis, right? Since then, prices have gone up 30, 40, 50, 60%. Don't forget, when you go to the grocery store, everything you look at is now 30 or 40% higher. And if there was a way for the company selling the products to shrink the amount to trick you, right? Like Chips Ahoy cookies. I guarantee you the number of cookies, the weight in a Chips Ahoy cookie bag right now is maybe 70% of what it was 8 or 9 years ago. The shrinkflation effect. I mean, it's crazy. You got to spend a lot more money to get even less of an actual product. It's absolutely frightening what's going on out there. Absolutely frightening. Now, if you want to spend a little money to get a lot of product, why don't you, if you like mining stocks, because I'm telling you, the mining stock sector, which is a good bellwether for the sentiment towards silver and gold, don't forget, Westerners, Americans are selling silver and gold. And we don't need them to flip to buying. We just need them to stop selling. And when that happens, the price of metals, that will be another one of the factors coming together, along with everything else we talked about, that will support the price of the precious metals. But if you want to check out a company, the whole mining sector has been beat to a pulp. The values there are unbelievable, okay? When I say value, I mean, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. One company that sponsors my channel that I've owned stock in for years is First Mining Gold, right there. www.firstmininggold.com. Check them out. They have a portfolio of projects, all in Canada, but they have 2 of the largest development stage projects in Canada. Springpole in Ontario, over 5 million ounces of gold in the ground. Du Parquet in Quebec. They also have a Cameron project in Ontario. And they have 3 other projects that they partnered out to other companies. But when you add up all the gold they have in the ground, okay, this is not an exploration company that's going out and saying, oh, we hope we find some gold. We think there's gold. No, this is all these projects have already been drilled. hundreds of millions of dollars spent on drilling, okay? Hundreds of thousands of meters of drilling. They know the gold is there. They are now in the development phase, which means the process of getting permits, working toward making the mines more attractive to other potential partners that can move them into actually building mines into production. They are listed in the United States and Canada. You can reach out to Paul Morris, their Director of Investor Relations. His email address is in the description of this video. But the mining stocks in general, what does that tell us? Okay, the volume on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and that's where all the gold and silver mining stocks are traded, is at near like all-time lows. Guys, what does this mean? What does that tell us about the silver and gold, the future of silver and gold? When sentiment is this low, I'm going to deliver the good news, the sermon, okay? When sentiment is this low, when nobody cares, like they do right now, when nobody, the last thing they want to do is it's us, right? We're the smart ones. Nobody else wants to talk about it. There's really almost only one way it can go, and that is to get better. All right? When the volume on the Toronto Stock Exchange starts to pick up, hold on one second, and I have a scratch. When people just start to care a little bit more, it's going to be like a crazy flood of new money coming into the precious metals sector. I can't believe you guys did it, man. We got the 200 thumbs up. That means I got to ring the old cowbell. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. I should see you tomorrow. Okay, be good to yourself. You deserve it. I'll talk to you later.